be able to be seen as real Christians, she had to hide the paintings or pictures that were on the wall, the glass wines that were there, hiding them behind the chairs.
Welcome to Book World with Karen Reborn. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Karen Reborn. In case you're new here, kindly consider subscribing to this channel. And for the returning subscribers, thank you so much for always coming back and appreciating my content. We are continuing with the analysis of Silent Song and Other Stories. Today we are on the 7th story, The Truly Married Woman by Abioseh Nicol from Sierra Leone. So kindly sit back, relax and enjoy the analysis. First of all, let's talk about the truly married woman. From the beginning of the book, we are introduced to Ajay and Ayo, and the main characters in the book are living together. They've been together for 12 years, and having lived together, it's still considered that they've not really gotten married, they're just cohabiting. So the truly married woman, before the officiating process of their marriage and all that, she's so dutiful and wakes up early to prepare tea for the husband and also to ensure that all the chores are done. She's so dutiful. But immediately after marriage, this woman really changes and says that I'm a truly married woman, and it means that I won't wake up to do all these things. You can just rise up and do them by yourself. That is the answer that this woman now gives the husband. So that is where the title has been derived from. The woman now becomes so aggressive. Is it? So to continue from there, let's talk about the synopsis of the book. First of all, we are introduced to these two characters, just as I've mentioned, living together happily, the woman having to rise and to do whatever she needs to do for the sake of the husband and to prepare the husband. And even though they live together, they are unmarried. Even at church, it's noticeable that even the priest or the speaker could talk about it and talk about those who live together, yet they are not married officially. So they could feel like they're out of place. This woman comes from their home, unites with this man, even though the father didn't want this marriage to go on, because the father wanted this daughter to be married to a school teacher. But she doesn't consider that, comes and lives with this man Ajay against the will of the father. And living together, they are not married, but they still have children together. And so this woman also sneaks and meets with other women, modern women. They teach each other, they discuss a lot of things, and there's a great revelation that we find here, that when the husband Ajay, who is seen as so strict, beats the child Oju, and beating the child, the woman has to stand up and say that no, it's not right to be beating the child that much, because even though you're beating the child for having done something wrong or wetting the sleeping mat, it doesn't change anything, because the more you beat him, the more he's continuing to do the same. So he advises the husband on that, and the husband is really perplexed, because he didn't expect that the wife could be attending this modern women teaching or groups, that she's able to be taught about these things. So that is another thing that we meet here. And then to the next thing that we can talk about, there is a church, a World Gospel Crusading Alliance from Minnesota in the USA, that comes and wants to involve this man in the missionary. The man is not willing really to get into the missionary, but only pretends, because he's a friend that brought him some magazine, and receiving that magazine, he wrote a letter to those people in the USA, missionaries, so that they can be able to include him in the missionary team. Even though he didn't really mean it, the main target was for him to get the Bible and the magazines, to sell some and also to distribute some to other people. So that was the main agenda. So the missionaries come, and the man is sent for, and they meet this man at Ajay. They talk about it, and they want to visit Ajay at his home. Ajay is so cunning and sends someone with a bicycle, goes home and tells the wife about the people that are coming there, so that the wife can prepare everything and ensure that the home is in a good condition, because they were the Europeans. And those people coming at home, he's also cunning and refuses that they cannot use a taxi because the roads are not so good. Missionaries together with the chief and Ajay comes home on foot. Reaching home, the wife has already done what was needed of her, ensuring that the house is clean, ensuring that everything is in order. And for them to be able to be seen as real Christians, she had to hide a lot of things, or like paintings or pictures that were on the wall, the glass ones that were there, hiding them behind the chairs so that these people cannot see them, and replacing them with spiritual images that would indicate that in this home these people were saved. They dress on their Sunday dresses. Together with the children, they are dressed so well. And another thing that we get to see on that point, she goes ahead even to borrow a ring. Remember, they're not married together with this husband. They've not been married for 12 years. She even thought of marrying this man and talked about it for several times, but it meant that to this man, it was meaning that he needed to spend a lot and he was not willing to do that for a wedding. So that is what happened. These people arrive home and they talk, but you get to see that this man, Ajay, was not even willing to join the missionary, and the chief has to help him by saying that people who work in the government are not allowed, and if they join the missionary, it means that they will be expelled from the government. So that is it to that point. So we get to see the pretense in this family, in this unmarried couple, or the people that are cohabiting. The next thing, now we are introduced to marriage. After the visiting of these white people, this man is now convinced that it's high time he gets married to this woman. They follow the rites that are supposed to be followed in order for their marriage to be acceptable, and then it's organized so well. After following all that, then there's a wedding that is also organized in church. So that is what happens in these people's lives. After marriage, now everything changes. Ayo, the wife, starts seeing the husband as so different, and Ayo seemed different in Ajay's eyes. He had never really looked at her carefully before. Now he saw her proud head, her long neck, her handsome shoulders, and he held her with him lovingly. So the husband now began to see the wife so differently after the wedding. Everything now changes. It is another realization that we get to see. After the wedding, Ayo really changes. She's now a truly married woman, refuses to rise up early, and we can see that the next morning, as his alarm clock went off, he reached for his morning cup of tea. It was not there. He sat up quickly and looked. Nothing. He listened for Ayo's footsteps outside in the kitchen. Nothing. He turned to look beside him. Ayo was there. She must be ill, he thought. All that excitement yesterday. Ayo, Ayo, he cried. Are you ill? She turned around slowly, still lying down, and looked at him. She moved her feet under the cotton bed cover, getting comfortable. There was a terrible calm about her. No, Ajay, she replied. Is something wrong with your legs? No, he said. He was alarmed, thinking that all the excitement had made her go a little crazy. Ajay, my husband, she said. For 12 years I've got up early every morning at 5 to make tea for you and breakfast. Now I'm a truly married woman. You must behave towards me with a little more respect. You are now a husband, not a lover. Get up and make yourself a cup of tea. So that is where the story ends. That is where the story ends. So the realization of a truly married woman now gets into her and changes everything. So it takes us to the next thing that we are going to talk about, the thematic concerns in this book. Number one thing, we are talking about cohabiting and marriage. I've explained these people have been living together for 12 years. There's also the aspect of friends having to sympathize with them after the preacher talking about it in church. And they say that the husband has to say to friends that this is not my wife, this is my mistress. Another part that we get to see about cohabiting and marriage, there is the aspect of valid marriage. Marriage is validated in order to improve its condition. But in this case, we see that it destroys it. Instead of improving anything, we see destruction, because she becomes so aggressive and she can't stand up to her duties. So that is cohabiting and marriage. So to the next thematic concern, we have the conflict due to parenting styles. There is difference in styles of parenting. Some parents are strict while some are not. That is normally when you consider the normal setup of a family. You'll find that a woman maybe is strict or the husband is strict, or rather the opposite. So in this case, we have Ajay as the strict one, and Ajay is now beating up Oju for wetting his sleeping mat. Remember, Oju is only 10 years old, and he's been beating Oju for the longest time, but the more he beats Oju, the more he does it. So the beating doesn't change anything. And because of this, now conflict arises as the Ayo stands up and speaks for the sake of this child and says that even though you're going to continue beating him, it doesn't mean that he's going to change. The more you're beating him, the more he's continuing to do it. So it's better to stop beating him. And also talks about the modern women training that she's been attending. So there's disagreement between the husband and the wife about child beating. And then also Ayo's father, that is the father-in-law to Ajay, also had a specific way that he wanted his daughters to get married. And considering that, he talked about Ayo getting married to a school teacher. This meant that he had a specific target. This woman should only get married to a school teacher, but not a government clerk. Another thing that we get to see that has taken a very, very big part of this book is hypocrisy. There is a lot of hypocrisy in the book, as Ajay writes to the missionaries about joining the missionary. But that was not the intention. The intention was to gain something from them, to gain the Bibles, to gain the magazines, the pictures, in order to be able to sell them, to distribute some, and even to have some inside his house. So that is hypocrisy, pretending so that he can just receive something from those people. Ajay also pretends that the road was not favorable, so that they cannot use a taxi going back home. This was not so, because he was only doing this to give the wife some time to prepare the home, to make the home be in a very good condition. Another thing that we see is Ayo is also hypocritical, as she borrows and changes appearance in order to please the missionaries, or to pretend before them. Borrows some ring, now dresses in the church clothes together with the children, so that it could be seen like they lived in that life. They were truly married, perfect couple, yet it was not so. She replaces the magazines and photos with spiritual images. That was hypocrisy. She's been pretending for 12 years to be a good wife, to be a good lover. And then after marriage, everything now explodes and she shows the real, or the true face, or the real her. Yeah. So she now pretends, the character traits changes after wedding, and she could not even rise up to cook tea for the husband, like she's been doing it for the last 12 years, and tells the husband that get up and make yourself a cup of tea. And then on the night of a wedding, there's something that we also notice there. These people have been living together for 12 years, meaning that they've been doing everything together. Then when it comes to now preparing for a wedding, now Ayo refuses the husband's advances, and says that we should not do it until after marriage. Yet they've been together for the longest time. It's so ironical. That also shows there was hypocrisy. Lastly, let's talk about the characters that we have in the book. We have Ajay that I've talked about. Ajay is so strict and also works as a government clerk. Ajay has been procrastinating marrying Ayo until Ayo has given up at some point, but at the end, it now comes true. Another character that we have here is Ayo. Ayo is a woman in her 30s. This is a woman who has been cohabiting for 12 years, living with a husband, yet they've not validated the marriage. We can say they've not married properly. And then she also moves in with the husband against the father's will. That is also the woman that we see, and she's so modernized because she attends women meetings, even though the husband thought that she was just there to do the duties back at home. Then we see there is also Oju. Oju, this is their firstborn. He is 10 years old and keeps wetting his sleeping mats. So that is Oju that we see. Then we have Ayo's father, who is the father-in-law to Ajay. This is a strict man who has a specific way that he wants to marry off his daughters, and even goes ahead to choose a man fit for their daughter. We get to see that also. And then he follows traditional marriage preparation, ensure his daughter was safe wherever she goes. So that is it for now. This is the life that most people live in an African setup. If you are an African, you would really relate with this so well. You get to see that people live together for so very long. Not even a dowry has been paid. They just live together, cohabiting more than even 12 years. You find that some old grandmother lived for even 50 years before the marriage was validated, and something that is so common. And it's common in African setup. And another thing that I can talk about in this book is the fact that the truly married woman, this marriage was supposed to be uniting people, bringing peace at home, bringing a lot of happiness, and then improving the home environment. But what happens after marriage? This distraction. This woman becomes so aggressive. So it means that after validating this marriage, it means that now she feels that she's entitled and has a right as a woman and can stand up for herself. So kindly let me know what you think about this book. Let me know what you think about Ayo's behavior. Do you think it's right that Ayo behaved in that way by telling the husband that you can as well go and do it? Do you think it's the right thing to do? Or do you think she's still supposed to be so that dutiful and naive woman that she used to be? Kindly let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching to this point. God bless you. Let's meet in the next video.